Join Time Magazine's lead education reporter alongside global educators and advocates to explore the impacts of teaching forgiveness.
I teach forgiveness because it can have a positive impact in my students' families.
It helps my students thrive in the face of adversity.
Students who can forgive are happier.
Join us to hear from teachers and thought leaders on how and why to include forgiveness in your classroom.
Temperature rise will bring widespread devastation and unprecedented extreme weather.
New coronavirus cases emerge across the country.
Obesity rates have more than doubled in kids.
Cape Town is running out of water.
Good afternoon to all people connected to Liceo Bicentenario de Excelencia Polivalente San Nicolás event in World Education Week 2021. I am glad to participate with you in this school celebration. We hope you enjoy this experience with us, considering we are representing Chile and Ñuble region. World Education Week started last Sunday on October the 3rd with 100 schools and 20 international organizations presented till this Friday, October the 8th. I invite you to share the event on your social networks with the hashtag World Edu Week, and please invite your contacts to join the live session. In our event today, we have the participation of Mr. Victor Reyes, our first speaker and principal of Liceo Bicentenario San Nicolás. We are also glad to have here Mr. Juan Cristóbal García Huidobro, a second speaker. He's a Jesus priest. His experience in education is through the presidency of 22 schools network that serves students of diverse backgrounds in Chile, who also did a research on our school as part of his doctoral thesis in 2018. Also, we have here today Mr. Carlos Enriquez as the third speaker and former Executive Secretary of Agencia de Calidad de la Educación de Chile, who currently serves as coordinator of the Latin American Laboratory for Evaluation of the Quality of Education of the Regional Office of Education for Latin America and the Caribbean, UNESCO. At this moment, we have 500 people connected to this virtual event, so thank you all for joining us. Today, we'd like to share our experience with the world, so please don't forget to share the event with your contacts on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and other social networks. At the end of this session, there will be a set of questions from the chat in which we'll answer some questions from registered participants for this event. Let's start with our first speaker, Mr. Victor Reyes, teacher of biology and chemistry, master in education with a mention in educational policy and management, with 31 years of educational experience and currently leads Liceo Bicentenario de Excelencia Polivalente San Nicolás. Mr. Reyes has stood out his continuous desire to provide the same academic and work opportunities to all children and young people, regardless of their economic and social condition, by breaking the social-cultural paradigm. He manifests leadership and innovative skills together with his personal qualities, technical management, and specific skills to implement and sustain a clear, motivating school organization with emphasis on skills development. Mr. Reyes, you are opening this panel discussion today, so please, you can start.
El Liceo Bicentenario Polivalente San Nicolás es un establecimiento público ubicado en una comuna rural de la región de Ñuble, en Chile. Su principal actividad económica está centrada en una agricultura de subsistencia, con pequeños viñedos y productos agroecológicos. Se suma a esto la falta de oportunidades para que niños, niñas y jóvenes rompan el círculo de la pobreza y sueñen con un mejor futuro.
The Liceo Bicentenario de Excelencia Polivalente San Nicolás is a public school located in the rural commune of the Ñuble region in Chile, where the main economic activity is subsistence agriculture and farming, such as small vineyards and agroecological production. The socio-economic background means that there's a lack of opportunities for young people to break out of the cycle of poverty, let alone to dream of a better future.
Así, profesores, profesoras y comunidad comparten el deseo de construir un sistema educativo revolucionario, transformador e innovador, centrado en la persona, demostrando con acciones concretas que las capacidades de los y las estudiantes y su desarrollo académico no está determinado por un factor económico y cultural. El liceo, entonces, se posiciona como un referente, un baluarte de la verdadera educación, iluminando el camino de niños y niñas, cumpliendo las expectativas de su familia, transformando el entorno social de la localidad. Creemos en una educación emancipadora, con una visión inclusiva, vanguardista en el ámbito tecnológico, con valores éticos y ciudadanos para la construcción de una sociedad tolerante, pacífica y democrática, con la firme creencia de que la superación de la pobreza se obtendrá por medio de la educación.
Therefore, the teachers, as well as the community, all share the desire of constructing a revolutionary, transformative, and innovative education system that is centered around the people. We have demonstrated this desire with concrete actions which prove that academic development and the capability of the people are not to be determined by the economic or cultural factors. The school has positioned itself as a benchmark, a fortress for true education, illuminating the path for girls and boys, meeting the expectations of their families, and evolving the social environment of the entire town. We believe in an emancipating education with an inclusive vision, an avant-garde attitude in technology, with ethical values for the construction of a civil society that is tolerant, peaceful, and democratic. At the same time, firmly believing that overcoming poverty shall be achieved through education.
Propiciamos una educación integral que se evidencia en el desarrollo armonioso de todas las facultades del ser humano, en lo cognitivo, en lo físico y en lo espiritual, con amplias posibilidades de descubrir y desarrollar habilidades que les permitan forjar un proyecto de vida propio. Para este encuentro consigo mismo se ha diseñado un modelo educativo que ofrece una variedad de instancias para el desarrollo de habilidades en las artes, deporte, idiomas, humanidades, etc. En lo académico, la estrategia de trabajar por agrupamiento flexible y no por cursos homogéneos ha permitido respetar los ritmos de aprendizaje, descubrir y desarrollar tempranamente los talentos, propiciando ambientes de tranquilidad y respeto entre todos, es decir, un currículum al servicio de los y las estudiantes ha sido la clave para diseñar diversas metodologías de enseñanza que motivan y desafían permanentemente a docentes, alumnos y alumnas.
We promote a comprehensive education that witnesses the harmonious development of all aspects of human being, cognitive, physical, and spiritual. We offer a wide array of possibilities for discovery and skill development that allows students to build the project of their life. It is along with these guidelines that we have designed a series of electives for the development of abilities, arts, sports, languages, humanities, among others. In academia, the strategy is to work not with common homogeneous courses, but rather with flexible grouping based on students' ability. This flexible grouping model respects the learning rhythm of different students, allows for the early discovery and development of talents, fosters an environment that is tranquility and above all, respect. That means the key to designing various teaching methodologies that permanently motivates and challenges teachers and students is a curriculum at the service of the students.
Esta forma de abordar la pedagogía ha llevado a que profesores y profesoras reconozcan el llamado de su vocación y la responsabilidad que tenemos de construir una sociedad mejor. Esto ha propiciado la práctica de gestión del conocimiento para el aprendizaje integral, conectándose unos con otros y creando nuevas formas de enseñar en un contexto dinámico, pacífico e innovador, donde todos y todas necesitamos del otro y la otra para seguir creando, y esto es lo más extraordinario de la educación.
This approach to pedagogy has also led teachers to not only recognize the calling of their own passion, but also our responsibilities in building a better civil society. This approach guides us to the knowledge management for a comprehensive learning experience, reminds us to connect with each other, and to create new ways of teaching in a dynamic, peaceful, and innovative context, where we help each other on the journey of creation. This is the most extraordinary thing about education.
Aquí todo se concibe como un medio para aprender y crecer, y no como un fin en sí mismo. Un ejemplo de esto se observa en el uso de la tecnología, diseño, programación, inteligencia artificial, robótica, impresión en 3D, fotogrametría geomática, uso de software, manejo de drones, entre otros, para desarrollar diversos proyectos que vinculan 2 o más asignaturas, siendo lo más maravilloso aquellos proyectos que buscan ayudar al otro, como por ejemplo el trabajo realizado en el año 2018 por jóvenes de segundo medio, que frente a la necesidad educativa de uno de sus compañeros que presentaba discapacidad visual, pero sentía la motivación y la capacidad para continuar sus estudios superiores, crearon una impresora braille programada con Arduino y confeccionada con materiales reciclados para generar documentos en braille a bajo costo. Esta innovación tecnológica educativa inclusiva lo llevó a obtener el Premio de Talento Digital Los Creadores, instancia que tiene como objetivo visibilizar a las mentes creativas y que con ingenio pueden entregar soluciones tecnológicas que mejoren la calidad de vida de su familia, la sociedad y su colegio.
Here at the school, everything is conceived as means for learning and growth, not as an end in itself. An example of this belief may be seen in the use of technology, designing, programming, artificial intelligence, robotics, 3D printing, photogrammetry, geomatics, use of software and drones, among others. The use of technology allows us to develop various projects that link 2 or more subjects together. We believe that, but beyond that, the most wonderful thing happens when these projects seek to bring our communities together, such as the work done in 2018 by some sophomores, 10th grader in high school. They faced the educational need of one of their classmates, who although had a visual disability, felt the motivation and capability to continue his study. So these young people created a printer made of recycled electronic waste and programmed it with a circuit board. Ultimately, were able to produce affordable Braille documents for their visually impaired classmates. This inclusive educational and technological innovation has brought them the award of digital talent, Los Creadores, an award that aims to encourage creative minds and recognize that with ingenuity, they can deliver technology solutions that improve the quality of life of their family, the school, and the society.
Hoy nos asombramos cuando niños y niñas entre 11 y 13 años, producto de la innovación tecnológica y los valores que comparten, se han propuesto construir una prótesis de extremidad superior para un compañero que, dada su condición de vulnerabilidad, requiere de la solidaridad de otros. Así, junto a sus profesores, trabajan en un proyecto digital para diseñar e imprimir en 3D esta prótesis que mediante transmisiones cerebrales active su musculatura y genere movimientos intencionados, devolviendo la salud y bienestar de su compañero.
Today, we are amazed when our girls and boys between 11 and 13 years old, who share the same values and with bright, technologically innovative minds, propose to build an upper limb prosthesis for a classmate with a vulnerable condition that requires the solidarity of others. Together with teachers, these young people are working on a 3D digital printing project of a prosthesis that, through brain electric transmissions, activates his muscles and generates intentional movements, restoring the health and well-being to their classmates.
La interacción entre la autonomía, la innovación pedagógica y la tecnología han sido claves para mejorar el rendimiento escolar, la convivencia, la seguridad en sí mismo, el desarrollo de habilidades y competencias digitales del siglo XXI. Esta es la emoción que nos genera la verdadera educación, la que nos conecta con nuestra humanidad, la educación que nos da esperanza en un mundo mejor para las futuras generaciones. El modelo educativo de San Nicolás puede cambiar al mundo.
The interaction between autonomy, pedagogical innovation, and technology have been key to the improvement of school performance, coexistence, self-confidence, and the development of technological skills and competency of the 21st century. This is the emotion that true education generates in us, the one that connects us with our community, with our humanity. The education that gives us hope in a better world for future generations. The educational model of San Nicolás can change the world.
Muchas gracias a todos y a todas, y en especial un saludo a los niños y niñas del mundo y decirle que sus profesores estamos trabajando para ellos.
Thank you very much, everyone. And a special note to all the students around the world. We want you to know that what we are doing as teachers is for you.
Mr. Reyes, thank you so much for your presentation. We have now almost 1,000 people connected to our meeting, so please share it in your social networks. Remember that the hashtag today is World Edu Week, and you can also mention Liceo Bicentenario San Nicolás. So we will continue with our second speaker, Mr. Juan Cristóbal García Huidobro, a Jesuit priest, Bachelor of Theology and Master in Engineering Sciences, Pontificia Universidad Católica de Chile, Bachelor of Philosophy and Humanities, Universidad Alberto Hurtado, and Bachelor of Engineering Sciences of Universidad Católica de Chile, Civil Engineer, BA in Philosophy and Theology, and PhD in Education from Boston College, specifically a specialist in curricular innovation. Member of the managing team of Cambio Educativo magazine, promotes strategies to improve the full school day, having work experience with young people outside school, highlighting in educational leadership and multiple publications on education. So, Mr. García Huidobro, it's your turn.
There you go. Are you able to see me now? To hear me now?
Yes, we hear you very clear.
Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to be part of this panel. And I'm very glad to be here. This is a privilege. I would like to start saying that I've dedicated my last years to visiting and studying schools all over the world, many in Chile, but all over Latin America and Europe. And I'm very privileged, I would say, to speak in this panel because San Nicolás was a very powerful example of something that's not very common in education. I would phrase it as a powerful answer to a traditional dilemma that I would say that we face in education between being very conservative in some sense, so that kids achieve high in standardized testing that show that they have learned what we want them to learn from our common course, and at the same time, more flexible, progressive pedagogies that allow them to flourish and to cultivate talents and capacities that more traditional pedagogies don't necessarily allow them to develop. And what I'm going to present here very briefly is the result of a study that I did in 2018 that was part of my doctoral dissertation. So this is one of 3 cases that I studied. This was mostly a qualitative descriptive study. And this particular case study on San Nicolás was based on 3 weeks staying at the school. I observed, I entered classrooms, I chatted with students, teachers, parents. I did tons of interviews and revised tons of documents. And so when you study a school comprehensively, as I did, you always have to care about the focus that you're studying. My study was mainly focused on curriculum and how the curriculum had changed. The key questions I was pursuing were 2. First, what is the school's curriculum? You could rephrase that as what is the school's agreement on what should be learned and what are the structures in place for this learning to happen? So agreement and structures were what were the 2 things that I was looking for. And when you look for these things, you have to realize that many times there are things that are explicit, so things that are written in documents. You know, many schools all over the world say that they offer a comprehensive, whole person education, but then that doesn't necessarily happen in practice, right? So what I was looking for was not what is written in documents or what people say that happens in an interview, but the contrast between what's said about the school and what's actually happening. And then the second question I was pursuing was, well, how has this agreement, this structure, what I call more comprehensively the whole curriculum, has changed over time? And then I'm going to present to you two key findings and then just offers a reflection, because I think Liceo San Nicolás is a true example of something very powerful, worth visiting and worth understanding. My first finding has to do with the story of the school, its history. So before 2007, Liceo Bicentenario San Nicolás, I would say, was a very common, traditional 400 student comprehensive high school, right? So this was located in a rural municipality in southern Chile, as the principal just said. But in 2007, one big thing happens, which is that Victor Reyes, the current principal, arrived. And what he brought, I would say, was a visionary project related with giving each student what he or she needs to flourish. This meant being flexible regarding many things that the educational ministry in Chile mandates and makes mandatory. So this meant that he challenged teachers to say, okay, this is what's mandated, but is this the best for your student? That meant that over the first 4 years, what I call here stage one, many things changed in the school. Many things, I would say, mainly this have to do with choice. So many teachers developed new study programs that were innovative in many ways. So at this time, the school began a sex education program, which the Chilean school system didn't have at that time. At this time, they began teaching ecology, which again was something new at that time in the school. And this was all due to this challenge by the principal to his teacher teams to be innovative and not necessarily work only based on fulfilling the system's mandates. More systemically, this meant the opening of a lot of choice in different areas. So in the arts, in physical education, and of course in languages, this meant new offerings that were very uncommon. So imagine a rural school that over 4 years began to have Chinese teachers coming to the school, teachers that taught German, French, English, and this is a very small high school that, this is very uncommon. In 2010, a second milestone occurred. In its growth, the school decided to participate and to become a bicentennial school. So this meant participating of a public school program offered by the ministry. And the challenge of this program was rising the results and standardized tests by the students. So this meant that the project that initially meant to give students whatever they needed to flourish meant focusing on achievement, academic achievement, in a way that the first 4 years were not the priority. This meant that teachers began to study data about student results, about student achievement, and a set of new strategies came out of this secondary focus. So I would say that these two milestones, the vision brought in by the new principal and participating in this public school program that mandated or that asked for the school to rise its achievement meant a combination of factors that led to the school's growth, and at the same time led to a combination of strategies that is very uncommon, because you have at the same time teachers that are helping students to flourish in the arts and in sports with extra support for high achieving. This second stage meant extending the school day. So the school has a school day that begins at 8 a.m. and finishes close to 6 p.m. So this is a very extended school day. But it's interesting to see that when you interview students, they love it. Because the school has become this combination of a very hard work, impressive an ethos of impressive hard work, but at the same time a place of joy because it means flourishing for students. Lately, and this is because I have a third stage, the combination of these two things that was mainly achieved by a process of encouraging school departments, academic departments to develop strategies meant that the school grew. So what we had before 2007, which is a 400 student comprehensive high school, became a close to 2,000 student school, much more complex, both in the size of the school, but also in the management of a very complex organization with a lot of departments, extended infrastructure, became much more complex to operate. So what we have today is this much more complex school that combines these two discourses in a very powerful way. Second finding, if I had to describe the school's curriculum, I would say it has mainly three characteristics. First, it's extended. So when you go to the school, what first impresses is that students are stay in the school for a lot longer than what's common in high schools. Second, it's a collected curriculum. This is a particular characteristic that was developed by an English researcher, Basil Bernstein. This means that the school curriculum has parts that are very distinctive and that group departments that work together with similar pedagogies. And students then combine experiences in different parts of the curriculum, experiencing different pedagogies and different approaches. And at the same time, I would add a third characteristic: the school's curriculum is very ambitious. This means that this extended and collected curriculum is integrated by a culture that is very unique. And I would say that this culture is rooted in the principles discourse that has permeated the whole school and the teachers and all that, which is a discourse that encourages each student to be his or her best self. When I interviewed students, it was very impressive to hear them say once and again, and this was random students that I interviewed, that the school was a place where they were encouraged to grow, to explore different things, and to be their best selves. When I zoom into what I meant by a collective curriculum, this graphic that you have in front of you has percentages. This is the time of the school day. Actually, it's the school week that's allotted to each of the parts of the curriculum. So a student at San Nicolas spends 55.8% devoted to what we commonly call in Chile the 4-subject academic core. So this is math, languages, natural sciences, and social sciences. The goal of this time investment is that students achieve proficiency in the key learning goals, so they have the foundations in the key subjects to move forward. Then the second part of the curriculum, so 13.8% of the time is spent in foreign languages. As I said before, since early 2010s, students are asked to study 2 foreign languages, not just 1. This was combined after 2015 with exchange programs. And the goal of this part of the curriculum is to broaden students' cultural horizons, to reinforce their self-esteem by looking wide and open into the world that's beyond the town of San Nicolas. Then the third part is specialized arts and sports electives. So this is very uncommon because in Chile, the most common way of teaching arts and sports is general courses that give broad overviews. Instead of that, the school encourages students to choose one sport or to choose one instrument or one artistic technique and to practice it over years so that they develop talent. That's why it's very impressive to see in the school a lot of talented students doing very amazing things in theater, music, and various other things. And then the fourth part, I would say, is that 14.1% of the time, of the weekly time, is spent in tracks that develop finally into 8 different upper tracks. So students can end their high school experience choosing 8 possible pathways. 4 of them are technical vocation, and 4 of them are college bound. And then, as I said before, this whole curriculum, very complex, that has diversities, is integrated by this culture that's developed over the years. These are 2 phrases that that teachers mentioned when I interviewed them. One of them is very powerful. One of them very consciously said, the strength of the school is this culture that's very unique and helps students not only because a lot of things that happen in San Nicolas occur in other schools. What's very different here, I would say, is that you can see how this has permeated school, and this means students that are encouraged to look wide and to flourish because of the possibilities that they are offered. And of course, I would say school exchanges and the fact that the school is open to the world through languages and bringing to this rural town a lot of international and diverse students opens the world to them in a way that's very impressive and it's very unique. Just to finalize, in 1985, Powell, Ferrer, and Cohen did the most comprehensive study on high schools that I've been able to see. This was a US-based study. They described the general high school experience as being akin to a shopping mall high school. So because high school is very complex, what the US had developed, this is an average high school, is a school that offers students variety, choice, and neutrality, meaning because it's very different to have students engaged, let's offer them a lot of diverse possibilities. Let's let them choose whatever they want. And because we don't want them to feel badly if they make poor choices, let's make it neutral. That's why they call it a shopping mall high school, meaning by that a typical US high school is similar to a shopping mall where students walk, they buy what they want, and they take high or low quality products, meaning education in different ways. Well, I would say, in contrast to that, the Liceo San Nicolas is not a shopping mall high school. It has the same variety and choice that they described in the 1980s, but very differently, there's no neutrality because students are pushed and encouraged to, within this variety and this choice, choose whatever it's best for them, whatever makes them flourish, and whatever gives them best possibilities for the future. Because of this, I would say San Nicolas is a very unique example of a very progressive and conservative school at the same time. That's why I think it's worth studying it, worth knowing it, because in many ways, for an educational world that debates between progressive and conservative approaches, San Nicolas poses an example of a combination that's very unique, and I would say worth understanding and worth pursuing. Thank you very much, everyone.
Mr. Garcia Huidobro, what a wonderful analysis you've made of our school and our also strategies. So, Mr. Garcia Huidobro, thank you so much for your for sharing, in this case, your investigation, and also for giving this great analysis of our school system. So we thank you for being part of this celebration. And our third speaker today also knows our educational project very well, Mr. Carlos Enriquez Calderón, commercial engineer from Universidad de Santiago de Chile, and master in public management from Universidad de Chile. For more than 2 decades, he has held positions of responsibility in the educational field, both in public services and university fields, among which are General Manager of General Education Corporation of Maipú, Manager of the MIDE program of Universidad Católica, former Executive Secretary of Agencia de Calidad de la Educación of Chile, and currently serves as coordinator of the Latin American Laboratory for Evaluation of the Quality of Education of the Regional Office of Education for Latin America and the Caribbean, UNESCO. So, Mr. Enriquez, you can start now with your presentation. Yes. Everything okay?
Thank you, Luis. Do you see my screen?
Yep, yeah, we can see it.
Thank you very much, and greeting for everybody. Thanks for invitation and to be able to contribute. I am Carlos Enriquez. I have been part to the quality agency from Chile, and now I work for the Latin American Laboratory for the Quality of Education of UNESCO. I got to now in depth the experience of Liceo San Nicolás. I will try to contribute today with my experience with this world classroom in terms of this contribution with a transformative education action. But how? Today, I will try to highlight the central ingredients of this dream, implementation and transformation. Before, there was a very unfavorable context as in many communes in Chile. Students with very little learning, low expectation of the inter-school community, lack of family involvement. Non-conformity with the high school situation, sharing a dream I wanting to do so, led a group to challenge the status quo and discover in the community a plan to take steps to make it came true. From the passion of their vocation, a group of teachers set out to change things, not just to do them, but define its purpose, professionalize their decision making, and as a team, display a progress plan of social transformation. The plan was built year after year, and based on the objectives, the initiatives were defined and aligned so that everything focused on learning. Now, where and how does learning thrive? It's a guiding question. In this high school, they talk about teaching and learning in workshops, in corridor, in different spaces, places, and topics. Since there are no excuse for their intention, from individual, passive, receiver, formal, to complex, collective, active, protagonist, mediated, social, everywhere. It is thus, as we can say, that in Liceo San Nicolás, it is possible that all students advance at their own pace and way of learning. Skilled and 21st century citizens are stimulating. The creative process for a student to choose, have self-esteem, and expand their expectation. Familiar paradigm of vulnerability are overthrown. In that direction, one the fair gravity and practical steps, it's distributive leadership and leadership training. I will briefly to try provide background information on this one. Which one is the main ingredient? The distributive leadership. Clearly, it is not pressing 3 buttons to achieve a pedagogy for deep and meaningful learning, where distributive leadership is an inclusive teaching process. I do not have much time to explain, but this is documented in the book Se Puede. It can be made, but we'll try to stay. There are basic conditions for distributive leadership. The focus should be on decision making, mobilization, and involvement with a focus on understanding, development, and diversity as education principle, with innovation in teaching methodologies and modalities, flexibility groups, thinking about where students are to support them, to move their learning frontiers, open classroom, multilingualism, art, music, support sport as a right. All students mark the mystic of this place. All this is achieving through a good conversation, considering your parent opinion, experience, and collaboration with a focus on professional development on the concept of promoting autonomy and student, and the conception on being protagonists of the world. The non-existence of the vertical hierarchy, but war in mentoring and peers. The non-existence of a director, but a management teams as servant of college. Teachers who challenge themselves and learn from their mistakes to try harder and do better, more than highlighting deficiencies. Search for solution. Every manage, every acts, every contributes with his or her capabilities. The chain of the you cannot buy. How I help you? As a summary, teachers are central. Teachers as substantive, neuralgic ingredients who are prioritized, challenged. They are responsible for what they to do make is possible. They are the one that's allowed. Model and shared learning, mobile belief, boundary and possibilities. In a day of the maximum its impact on learning. Distributed learnership and strategic organizational culture created to condition for teachers to strengthen reflection and pedagogical practice, management to the curriculum with greater autonomy, conceptualize all the pedagogical work collaboratively, coming to form a learner community, reflect on the practice on achievement of objectives, promote professional skill for the best performance. In effect, distributed leadership is mentoring work, where a competent teacher coordinates teacher at the subject to mobilize action, professionalism development, collaboration, improvement that are decisive for teamwork with clear purpose, strategic sense, and action. Teachers are constantly challenged to achieve motivating and permanent instance to the educational trajectory of each student. Missed opportunities are encouraged to share experience, emotion, and thus be able to streaming affective bond. In San Nicolas High School, boys and girls are the protagonists of their hour learning, and the faces are the best reflection of this dream that come true. Where every day, from tears, I move it. A dream aspirates, and the community work to achieve it. To summary, we can see that all I can be done, thanks to mobilizing teacher, contribute, powerful professional who constantly learn and challenge themselves to put their vocation at the service of making it possible and enjoying challenging their studying every day to transform them. Students are protagonists of their life projects, entering high school, making daily decisions, learning every day, challenging each other, sharing, seeking their development in order to challenge their abilities to the maximum and be able to serve their environment. A project that is capable of connecting with its environment and its community in order to respond to everyone's dream and hopes. Work structure and pedagogical intention in doing things to learn. Distribute leadership and team at the service of students to exercise their right to learn is achieved in the community, generating on an education culture with common values and with a strong way to face daily change. The students of San Nicolas today can speak 4 languages. So this image represents the wonderful history of transformation, of getting the best out of each person, of putting on orderful or ourselves to work as a team, of learning to solve difficult and cognitive to focus on fulfilling the dream of each one with a sense of community, transformation, and culture of peace. Thanks to the leader of this beautiful project, thank for Se Puede, it can be made, we can do it. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mr. Carlos Enriquez, for all the analysis you made and for your words also to our school. So at this part of the event, we have more than 1,000 people connected to this live session. So don't forget the hashtag for social networks. It is World Edu Week. So please share it with your friends. We still have time. And now, please, Mr. Roderick, could you please summarize the 5 practical steps for the audience?
Yeah, so in summary, what are the 5 practical steps that we would like to share with other schools across the world that could possibly benefit the entire world's education community? The first step is distributed leadership and training. It was conceived as an innovative institutional practice where the principal's power is extended to different professionals who then acquire an important role and responsibility in collaboration, educational improvement, and school organization. This distributed leadership model emerges from the awareness of the context and history of our school, and it was implemented according to the institutional culture as a response to the needs of students for a high-quality education. The second point is interculturality and culture of peace. Interculturality and multilingualism are experienced through foreign student exchange, internships, and the learning of different languages coexistence from the cultural, social, and economic perspectives. Interdisciplinary education is taught through citizen education, vocational guidance, habits of a healthy life, inclusion, and students' participation in workshops according to their personal interests and desire for motivation, sense of belonging, and identity. Ultimately, all of these actions above transform students into engines for the dream of an inclusive, just, and a harmonious society. The third point is innovative didactic strategies. The first strategy is flexible grouping, that is the division of students in all subjects of the same grade into different levels according to their skills and learning rates, with teachers whose methodologies suit their needs and the learning style. The second strategy is open classroom. As opposed to a closed didactic classroom, students get to choose their preferred subjects within arts, physical education, and technological field based on their interests, talents, and prospects. The fourth point is technological innovation. Given the current context of virtual education, we have adapted various technological tools for students' learning, one of which is programming. It has been added to the curriculum from pre-kindergarten to 12th grade. Apart from that, the Center for Technology, Innovation and Entrepreneurship was created to introduce students to educational practices through articulated and interdisciplinary work to enhance learning and skill development through coding, 3D printing, design, robotics, artificial intelligence, video games, etc. And the final point is educational path. The school is dedicated to the strengthening of academic autonomy that boosts students' self-confidence in their capacities, with the goal of increasing the chance of success in their own chosen educational trajectory. With the company of their teachers and the vocational guidance counselor, students may elect one of the 8 educational paths in 10th grade, either among the humanity scientific path or the professional technical areas. From there, they carry on their studies and will one day become independent, competent, and brilliant individuals. Now, Luis.
Thank you, Roderick. So now, I can tell you that before finalizing our event, I want to share the ways in which you can contact our school. So you can check our webpage, www.liceosannicolas.cl, or you can also visit our YouTube channel, okay, Liceo Bicentenario San Nicolás. Okay, and we'd like to thank to all the people connected to this live session. You have been an amazing audience, so congratulations to our 3 speakers. And thanks to our partner organization, Elige, Educar, and everybody who made this event possible. So have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed our presentation in World Education Week 2021. Bye-bye.
Join Time Magazine's lead education reporter alongside global educators and advocates to explore the impacts of teaching forgiveness.
I teach forgiveness because it can have a positive impact in my students' families.
It helps my students thrive in the face of adversity.
Students who can forgive are happier.
Join us to hear from teachers and thought leaders on how and why to include forgiveness in your classroom.
Temperature rise will bring widespread devastation and unprecedented extreme weather.
New coronavirus cases emerge across the country.
Obesity rates have more than doubled in kids.
Cape Town is running out of water.
Una vez más, el Liceo Bicentenario San Nicolás nos entrega buenas noticias. Esta vez porque participarán del Encuentro Mundial de la Educación. Esto es mérito de toda la comunidad del liceo, muy particularmente de su director, Víctor Reyes, que siempre ha puesto un sello de calidad, de excelencia, de compromiso en el trabajo de todo este establecimiento. Quiero felicitar a todos quienes son parte del Liceo Bicentenario San Nicolás, porque siempre son motivo de alegría para el país por su gran compromiso, esfuerzo y dedicación.
Soy Mario Venegas, diputado, presidente de la Comisión de Educación de la Cámara de Diputados, profesor, y siempre he amado la educación. Y después de conocer la experiencia del Liceo Bicentenario de San Nicolás, me reencontré con esa vocación. Son de verdad un ejemplo a seguir. Les felicito muy sinceramente, me han impresionado por su amor que hay en el trabajo que realizan. Y me alegro y les felicito por estar participando en la Jornada Mundial de Educación. Tengo la certeza que nos van a dejar muy, muy bien representados. Un saludo afectuoso.
Quiero mandar un saludo cariñoso, lleno de orgullo y gratitud al Liceo Bicentenario San Nicolás por este importante reconocimiento para estar dentro de 100 escuelas del mundo que están liderando transformaciones significativas y compartiendo su aprendizaje para mejorar la educación de los y las estudiantes globalmente.
Bueno, en la Semana Mundial de la Educación quiero mandar un afectuoso saludo a la comunidad educativa del Liceo Bicentenario de Excelencia Polivalente de San Nicolás, representado en esta ocasión por su director, don Víctor Reyes. Felicitarlos por la gran labor que han hecho en este tremendo proyecto, que hoy día podemos decir que es un proyecto ya consolidado y que está dando grandes frutos en nuestra región y no por decirlo también en nuestro país. Un saludo afectuoso en la Semana Mundial de la Educación 2021.
Bienvenidos a nuestro Liceo Bicentenario San Nicolás. Estamos ubicados en la comuna de San Nicolás, a unos 30 minutos de Chillán, capital regional de Ñuble. Somos un liceo polivalente, bicentenario y de alta exigencia, con un proyecto educativo centrado en la persona, donde lo más importante son nuestros estudiantes y sus aprendizajes. Toda la actividad pedagógica y los diferentes estamentos que componen nuestra comunidad educativa centran su quehacer en el aprendizaje de nuestros estudiantes, formando ciudadanos globales con habilidades y competencias para desarrollarse en el siglo XXI. Actualmente, contamos con una oferta académica para estudiantes de educación inicial, primer ciclo básico, segundo ciclo básico y enseñanza media. Hemos implementado en nuestros 2 campus todas las medidas de seguridad y prevención necesarias para prevenir el COVID-19 dispuestas por la autoridad sanitaria, además de contar con la certificación de la Asociación Chilena de Seguridad como espacio laboral libre de COVID. Nuestro campus Sergio Martín Álamos cuenta con espacios amplios tendientes a la diversidad y a la inclusión de nuestros estudiantes, docentes y equipos profesionales altamente calificados que forman a estudiantes desde prekinder a quinto año básico. Desde sexto año básico hasta cuarto año medio se imparten en nuestra casa central, que cuenta con medidas de prevención en cada uno de los espacios comunes e individuales. La oferta académica disponible en enseñanza media abarca las modalidades humanista científica y área técnico-profesional, las que se imparten a partir de tercer año medio. Para el desarrollo de habilidades y competencias en nuestros estudiantes, contamos con los siguientes sellos educativos que se imparten y desarrollan de manera transversal en todos los niveles de enseñanza. Desarrollo de habilidades y competencias. Este sello educativo institucional se desarrolla en todos los niveles de enseñanza, de acuerdo a los 4 pilares promovidos por la UNESCO para la educación del siglo XXI: el aprender a conocer, el aprender a ser, el aprender a hacer y aprender a vivir juntos, en especial en nuestros estudiantes del área técnico-profesional. Formación integral es lo más profundo de nuestro proyecto educativo institucional. En nuestra misión y visión establecemos como piedra angular la formación integral de todos y todas, incentivándoles a ser ciudadanos globales con un alto sentido de responsabilidad, pensamiento crítico y formación valórica, formando a los líderes del mañana. Educación inclusiva y tendiente a la diversidad, contando con un programa de integración escolar en todos los niveles de enseñanza como parte medular de nuestro proyecto educativo institucional. Proporcionamos una oferta académica variada y un currículo flexible, respondiendo a los propios intereses de nuestros estudiantes, sus proyecciones, sueños y anhelos, potenciando sus competencias y habilidades de acuerdo a sus estilos y ritmos de aprendizaje. Agrupamientos flexibles de aprendizaje y aulas abiertas. Es una metodología educativa que rompe la brecha de la desigualdad en el sistema educativo chileno, atendiendo a la diversidad de manera inclusiva, desafiante e innovadora. Se imparte desde quinto año básico a cuarto año medio, de manera transversal en las asignaturas de lenguaje y comunicación, matemática, ciencias, historia, geografía y ciencias sociales e idiomas. Y porque en San Nicolás el arte es un derecho, se ha innovado en la formación de aulas abiertas de aprendizaje, especialmente implementadas para el área de las artes y educación física, proporcionando a cada estudiante una amplia oferta para el desarrollo de las artes visuales, artes musicales y deportes, porque como institución tenemos el convencimiento de que las artes y el deporte potencian habilidades como la creación y la imaginación, las competencias de trabajo en equipo, el autoconcepto, autonomía e iniciativa personal. Plurilingüismo. Impartimos 4 idiomas extranjeros: chino mandarín, alemán, francés e inglés, cada uno con sus certificaciones de dominio de idiomas. Además, hemos implementado la modalidad de pasantías al extranjero en las asignaturas de francés y alemán. También promovemos la interculturalidad y la movilidad estudiantil a través de convenios con diferentes agencias interculturales del mundo. El objetivo del plurilingüismo es romper las barreras idiomáticas, fronteras y paradigmas instalados en nuestra sociedad. Tecnología, innovación y emprendimiento. Queremos pensar en la educación del futuro, estar a la vanguardia en materia educativa y en cuanto al desarrollo de nuevas tecnologías, el pensamiento computacional, la innovación y el emprendimiento. Para esto hemos inaugurado un centro de innovación tecnológica que permite a nuestros estudiantes profundizar y especializarse en las distintas variantes que ofrece el pensamiento computacional. Esta revolución hacia la industria 4.0 parte con los más pequeñitos, insertando y flexibilizando el currículo, con asignaturas como programación, siguiendo con Scratch en una formación integral y transversal transversal del pensamiento computacional, que va evolucionando a través de las asignaturas de matemática y tecnología. Además de lo anterior, contamos con un internado comunal con capacidad para 160 estudiantes, amplios espacios comunes y a solo una cuadra de nuestra casa central. También contamos con buses de acercamiento provenientes de toda la región de Ñuble, que nos conectan día a día con nuestros estudiantes y sus familias. Ven, atrévete a conocernos y ser parte de esta gran comunidad de aprendizaje.
Hola a todos, mi nombre es Carla Cantuarias y a nombre de Fundación Codea queremos felicitar al Liceo Bicentenario San Nicolás de la región de Ñuble por ser el único establecimiento educacional de Chile participando en la Semana Mundial de la Educación. Sabemos del tremendo trabajo que han hecho por años, desde su director hasta todo el equipo de docentes y administrativos que está en el colegio para hacer de sus estudiantes personas integrales, educar centrado en el alumno para que desarrollen todo su potencial. Muchas felicitaciones.
Buenos días, soy Nicola Montesino, directora de la Escuela de Educación de la Universidad de Concepción Campus Los Ángeles, y quisiera, en nombre de todo el cuerpo de profesionales que nos desempeñamos en esta unidad, enviarles un cordial saludo al Liceo Polivalente San Nicolás por ser el establecimiento de educación municipal que representa a Chile en la Semana Mundial de la Educación. Esta Escuela de Educación se siente muy orgullosa de trabajar en forma conjunta con este liceo a través de los acuerdos de cooperación bidireccional, en donde efectivamente van a tener la oportunidad ustedes de revisar las 5 prácticas exitosas que se han sostenido en el tiempo y que impactan cotidianamente en la vida, la calidad de vida y la felicidad de sus estudiantes. Que sea una jornada muy exitosa.
En mi calidad de decano de la Facultad de Ciencias Empresariales de la Universidad del Biobío, hago llegar mis más sinceras felicitaciones al Liceo San Nicolás por representarnos en la Semana Mundial de la Educación. Nos sentimos muy orgullosos, felicitamos al liceo y le deseamos el mayor de los éxitos.
Desde Corfo Ñuble queremos enviar un afectuoso saludo a don Víctor Reyes, director del Liceo Bicentenario de San Nicolás, orgullo de la región de Ñuble, y felicitarlos por su participación en la Semana Mundial de la Educación, donde el liceo es el único representante de nuestro país. Un abrazo grande para todos ustedes, para profesores y para los alumnos.
En Chile queremos enviarle un afectuoso saludo y las felicitaciones correspondientes a toda la comunidad escolar del Liceo Bicentenario San Nicolás, quienes son el único establecimiento chileno que está participando de la Semana Mundial de la Educación. Estamos muy orgullosos de ser sus amigos y sus partners. Les mando un abrazo.